you gave the beginning.
Other than obviously highlighting and bringing awareness to company that Windsor's very proud of, what was the purpose of this visit here today? Obviously, no real announcements happening today, but what was the reason that you came to Windsor today?
She's confused.
Well, you gave the beginning of the answer in your question.
But I was going to let this play all the way through. This is like this is Bart Simpson doing the book review of The Pirate and the whatever, and Bart's like, well, as the title indicates, the book is about a pirate. And can we just appreciate 5 seconds of awkward silence?
Announcements happening today, but what was the reason that you came to Windsor today?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, you gave the beginning of the answer in your question.
I'm just going to let it play now.
Rico is a company that people in Windsor know about and are proud of.
It's Kamala Harris. This is Canada's Kamala Harris.
I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a boost, a little bit of the spotlight and the cameras and the reporters that comes with me being here. I'm also really glad.
I wanted to give you a boost. I wanted to give you some stardom with the cameras that come with me. The Krista Freeland. Her and Justin Trudeau. I just had a very dirty image in my. Oh my God, her and Justin Trudeau. They get along for a reason.
To support a company that is led by a woman. There aren't that many.
There aren't
in this
that
sector,
many.
And I do think it's important for women leaders to support each other. So
awesome. Now talk about Jody Wilson-Raybould, Krista.
Sort of freely and openly admit that was an extra little asterisk and incentive.
Look at the person behind her. Oh my gosh, is that pathological verbal diarrhea? You were almost lucky, people. I was almost going to start with Matt Walsh and one of the answers he gave to some congressional testimony. Okay. Tonight we're going to be in for a learning curve for me, not for you, but maybe for you as well. I don't know what Hogwarts is. I don't know what a lot of the stuff that the younger generation talks about these days are. Vomitus is right, nature lover. Vomitus is right. Okay, so standard disclaimers. We're probably going to end this, at some point soon on YouTube. Go exclusively to Rumble. Tonight's sidebar, Nina Infinity, might be operating in the realm of the interwebs that some of you are less familiar with. There will not be only politics tonight, but there certainly will be politics, and there will be scandal, and there will be transphobia, because I understand that that's what's ultimately behind this whole Hogwarts game frenzy, that people are boycotting J.K. Rowling. Because J.K. Rowling basically came out and said boys have penises and girls have vaginas, and that's radical. That's Orwellian, radical, wrong speak these days. I simp for Nina. Okay, all right. Now I see everyone's in I see Barnes is here. I see Nina's here. I'm gonna bring Barnes in first. Then I'm gonna bring Nina in. Then I'm gonna go to the bottom so that when I bring up a comment like this, will there be drinks? I was thinking about it. There won't be drinks, but your dog is showing it himself. All right, we're on. We're live. Nina, Robert, how go your respective battles?
Hi. It's going. Yeah, it's going good.
Okay, so this is ordinarily I know more about a guest in terms of, scandals, history, upbringing, but Nina, it's not for lack of trying. Briefly, when we were talking before we even got started, you mentioned you're Canadian. I don't even think I knew that much. But I've watched a lot of your videos today. Who are you? 30,000-foot overview. Before we get into childhood, which looks like it wasn't that long ago because you seem to be very young and new to the interwebs.
Oh my.
And
that's a compliment. That's a real big compliment because I'm old. I'm very old.
Okay, I wasn't going to ask, but now I might have to go. I'll have to go to Nina. So 30,000-foot overview for those who don't know who you are.
Okay, so I'm Nina Infinity. I'm gonna start at childhood. I was when I was 10 years old. I was born in Iran, moved to Canada with my mom at 10 years old. We immigrated there, single mom. Great times, Vancouver. Shout out West Coast. Then My life moved along and I was fine, happy camper, all that good stuff. Then Canada started to crumble before my eyes. I got married. I moved out a little bit further than Vancouver, went to the suburbs, getting away from the concrete jungle, the city. But the fascism and the creeping craziness kept following me. And I was like, you know what? Me and my husband decided to move out to Mexico. So now we're in Cancun, Mexico. Been here for 6 years. I am now a permanent resident of Mexico as of last week. And I love it. And it's fantastic. And I can't recommend it enough. It's amazing. But that's me. That's me in like a very small nutshell. And I have a YouTube channel, Nina Infinity.
How hard was it to escape Iran?
Well, for me to escape, not that hard because I was 10 and I was just kind of like dragged along. Not that difficult. But at the time, my mom had to know how to speak English. We needed $10,000, and then we immigrated, and that was it. It wasn't that difficult, but it was also not that easy because $10,000 at the time was a lot of money. So we had to like borrow from family and stuff.
You left when you were 10 years old.
Mhm.
So you have active, conscious memories of what childhood was like in Iran.
Oh, absolutely. I did the whole chanting to the Death to America chant for 15 minutes a day. I did, all the stuff that you hear about in the news. I mean, stuff has gotten better, a lot better since then for Iran, especially the education system there. Because that was in 85 that I was born. So 85 was during the Iran-Iraq war. So I was not, when I was like 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, early 90s, it was kind of a difficult time at the time, but things have improved much since then. But at the time, because they were still trying to indoctrinate the kids, there was a lot of, death to America, death to the West, things like that we had to do.
So we found our scandal. There's a little Nina saying "Death to America" somewhere out there.
Yeah.
Are you joking about the 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, or was it a ritualistic? It was a government imposed ritualistic thing that.
Oh, absolutely. Because I was and of course it was an all girls school, and then all girls school, all boys school. We would go there at very early in the morning. I had to get up like 5 a.m. to catch my bus. Went there. 6 o'clock, you line up in kind of like, North Korea style, prison style lineups. And then they kind of give you speeches of the day, what is all about, blah, blah, blah. Then you do like the 15-minute chant of just like death to America, which, I'll say in Persian, Magbat America. So, it's kind of like that's the thing. So you say that, and then you move on. Like they tell you like what your class is on, blah, blah, blah. And then you go on with your day. And of course, the curriculums there were insane for a child my age. When I moved to Canada at 10, I could do calculus math. Equivalent to basically like grade 12 math, early, like very, very hard grade 12 math, like I don't know what they're called, like the top class in grade 12 now, but those ones. And then and I couldn't speak English, but they were like, can you tutor kids, because they weren't even at like fractions and stuff at the time. So it was pretty funny.
What inspired your mom to leave?
Because she didn't want me to be raised as because I was a female, and my mom and dad weren't very into the Islamic thing. They were actually they were the ones that got tricked. They were a part of the communist kind of crowd, and they understood that they got tricked, and they didn't like the Islamic Republic that moved there, infiltrated, and they wanted to get out as much as anybody else. That's why a lot of people left, because of the war.
Let me ask, when they're getting you to chant "Death to America," and I know, like, it's almost like something that people say and they don't have any malice when they say it. Are they instilling malice when you say it, or are the kids just laughing?
Oh no, well, here's the thing. It depends on your upbringing as well, because it equals with home upbringing. So if you're into part of the Islamic family or whatever, you might be really into it. Whereas in me, because of my upbringing, my mom, shout out to my mom, who's probably watching right now, I love her. She introduced me to all of the, the Hollywood movies and Hollywood, like everything that came from the West. And we, at the time, there like movies were not allowed in Iran, so we had to have like this guy come to our house with a suitcase full of movies and be like, hurry up, like pick your movies, let's go, like it's time, like I gotta get out of here. He was like this cab driver, and so he would come in and like give us Disney movies, like bootleg Disney movies and all this kind of stuff. So I got familiarized with the West's stuff because of that, and I realized, hey, women in that country, they don't have to cover themselves, they can sing, they can do all these things. Like why are they being vilified here? Like it seems like such a great place. This place doesn't seem very good. So I started getting kind of indoctrinated in my own way into the West. So then when I went to school, whenever I had to do like the Death to America chant, I would say in my head, I love America, I love America, I love America. So I would say Death to America, what I would think, I love America. And my mom was always like, please make sure you don't say that out loud, though, like just make sure you don't say, we can get arrested, we could get killed, things like that.
Right.
And don't tell anyone we got in Disney movies. Don't tell anyone you got the movies. Don't tell
What would have
anyone
been
about the stuff.
What would have been the punishment for the guy giving you the DVDs? Like, was he facing
Jail, death.
And my God.
Yeah. The
My mom too. My mom and dad, jail, death.
Right. I mean, people underappreciate what that life is like. It is startling, in particular, given how extraordinarily rich, deep, and historically tolerant the Persian culture is, going back centuries after centuries after centuries. Frankly, it was the one that helped moderate the first Islamic republics in the region, take it in a more intellectual direction. Math, in terms of math, literature, history, so many rich tapestries, if you will, of the Persian culture. Of course, I was sneaking things around today. I was here in Philadelphia. I was sneaking around some delicious farm fresh milk from AmosMillerOrganicFarm.com. So if you're out there, you want some delicious, true farm fresh milk, AmosMillerOrganicFarm.com. I was up there yesterday. Man, it's real milk. It's true milk. But it's weird. Like going around, can I sneak a little bit? Can I? It's like I was doing shots of cocaine in the back or something.
Because it's illegal, right? Like, is it the illegal milk, the non-homogenized? Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
No pasteurized, it's just good old delicious right from the cow.
Yeah, man. I wish I had some of that.
I still, Robert, I'm going to have to taste it one day. I loathe milk. I don't think there's anything that's going to make me like milk, but I'm up for a dare.
You'll like it when you taste the real stuff, Viva.
Oh, absolutely. Now, so is that where your love of films and the great traditions of Western culture, is that where a lot of that started in terms of
Yep.
And how shocked were you when it started to go off the rails?
Oh my God. Very shocked. It's one of those things because, again, like being from Iran, you see some things like, and I saw Canada change before my eyes in a very, very unpleasant way. And it was surreal. And of course, like, that aside, because Canadian entertainment is very different from American entertainment. But, because I was so familiar with American entertainment, I could see it starting to seep in. And I'm like, why is it like, what is this woke thing? And what does that mean to be woke? And what does this mean that, everything has to be female now? And as someone who's like, a female, I started being like, I'm sick of all these females. Why is there women like in everything and taking over the role of men? And the idea of understanding, because in my country, women were so belittled. It was really like kind of it was weird to see how women were being belittled instead of being propped up. So like feminism was dying. They were killing femininity in the same breath of saying, hey, we love femininity, but we're gonna kill it. We're gonna snuff it out. But same thing with masculinity. We're gonna also kill masculinity and pretend in the same breath of saying like we're gonna prop up, the good men or whatever that are like basically male feminists, because as long as they're like, into the women, female rights and woke and whatever, then men are good. And if they're drinking soy, then that's great. But if they're actually men and taking care of their families and the nuclear family, all that kind of stuff, it gives you all these messages in the media, in what you're consuming visually. And I started to really just ask a lot of questions. And I think for me, it started really when I was gonna call him Jake Skywalker because that's like in my head now, but Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, when they killed him in the way that they did, like in like metaphorically, they killed Luke Skywalker and they made him into this just basically nothing, and he's the hero of generations. I started to have questions. I started to have a lot of questions.
Okay, I got 2 questions, 1 statement. First of all, it sounds like you probably had the coolest parents imaginable under those circumstances to take the risk to let you watch movies. Like my parents plopped me in front of a movie just so that I would stop annoying them because they had 4 other kids. The 2 questions were this: you leave at 10 years old. I have to ask the question: like, did you have any more traumatic experiences, witness more traumatic things in Iran that you recollect before in your childhood? And then the second question, just to get away from the bad memory, is what was your favorite movie growing up? But childhood experience, did you witness anything outright traumatic that you now come to the West and say you are all complaining about nothing?
In all honesty, no. My answer to that is no, because all of my other memories in Iran are fond memories. I love Iran. I love the Persian people. They're all great people. I mean, I saw like certain things. I was still 10. Like there was certain things I didn't really understand until later on in life, like certain ways that my mom would approach men, or that the way men would speak to my mom. There was things about the hijab, definitely, like everywhere we would go, especially women would tell my mom, like, cover your hair, like pull your scarf down, things like that, like very, very rudely, those kind of things. But I was so young that it didn't really bother me because I didn't have to wear them yet. Like I was a little girl. So, you don't have to wear it until you're 13, basically until you have puberty, unless you go to school, and in school you have to wear it. In public, you don't have to. But otherwise, no. Most of it was very fond memories of my family and the Iranian culture and all that stuff. But of course, the government was always there, in the back, just kind of like watching you. And you always have to watch what you say. You always had to watch what you do, things like that.
Favorite movie as a
Favorite
child?
movie as a child was The Little Mermaid, because I remember the first time this will tell you, Viva, how old I am. We still had a non-color TV at my grandma's house, so we would watch non-color movies, and she had the little dial on her TV and everything. And my dad got a color TV, and he got us a VCR. And he went to this little island called Quiche. It's in the Persian Gulf, and that they did the trades there. It's like trade zone. And so he brought us the VCR, and he brought us a copy of The Little Mermaid. And so when he put that in, and that was the first thing I ever saw, was the colorful images of The Little Mermaid. That was it. And I was like, and she talked about wanting to be part of your world and all that stuff. And somehow deep down inside, I was like, yeah, I want to get out of here too. I want to be part of that world, and about the West. So it really, I really identified with that story. And so The Little Mermaid is my favorite movie.
What do you think about the current Little Mermaid debate?
Oh my God. Well, I almost got canceled a few times on Twitter for that. Let's see. Hey, cancel me all you want. I just think that people that make movies about other things simply make the character look and feel the way that character originally was designed to look and feel like, no matter what that may be. I think it's a safe bet. Most of the time you will win over the fandom. Other people who wanted to see themselves in there, they don't necessarily, that's not a thing. That, like I said, like she was a redheaded white woman, fish woman, white half fish woman. And I identified with her as a Persian little girl. I don't see why nobody else would. So I think all they have to do is just stick to the characters. Same thing with Superman, Batman, every single iteration that you can think of, just stick to the character and you will be fine.
I have 2 questions actually there. You see The Little Mermaid in Iran, and so you're in a country where women have to cover up, their entire bodies, and you're looking at a half-naked mermaid with shells for nipples.
Mhm.
Is that when you start realizing something is very different in
Hey,
Iran?
the shell was the bra, okay? It wasn't the nipples, it was the bra. And yes, of course, that and Marilyn Monroe, that was like another movie. Madonna, like they were giant influences on me. I watched so many of these. I remember we watched music videos after some of the movies. There was music videos, and then La Bamba came on with like the girl with the mini skirt, like, you know, dancing around. I was like, women can dress and dance with men, like, whoa, this is so crazy. So of course I was like, it all influenced me. In that way. I was like, I want to be pretty and dress up and all that kind of stuff.
And I should clarify, Robert, some people in the chat might not even know what the controversy was with The Little Mermaid, but they recast The Little Mermaid as a black actress for The Mermaid.
Mhm.
And it led to some stuff on Twitter. I remember it led to people saying, you know, you're rebranding an iconic character. Others were saying mermaids are fictional. How do they have skin color in the first place?
Mhm.
The interesting element of that debate is, as a kid, I used to watch Family Matters. I used to like Urkel, and I never used to say Urkel's a black kid or I'm a white kid and we have something different. I just looked at Urkel and said, the kid's funny. And I do wonder if young black kids, young Asian kids look at The Little Mermaid and say, I like her, but I don't relate to her in some way that is unknown to me. And so that was the whole scandal. Anybody out there who may not have noticed?
Yeah, and even like some black people were kind of like, what's going on with her hair? Like that was one of the comments, because she's got like really weird dreadlocks, and some people started doing like what she would look like if they did the hair properly, like even like her, the actress, like even like let's leave the skin color aside, let's just give her the proper hair, and the photoshops like looked better than what she looked like. And then everybody was, and it was really, I remember like the pictures that came out from the trailer was like really dingy and dark and just like really super dark, and Little Mermaid is really bright and colorful, so everybody was like, well, why don't you just make it a little bit brighter? Like, why is it so dark and dingy? She's already a black person, so why are you making it so it's very dark and gray and, you know, whatever as well? It's not helping the outlook of what your movie is supposed to look like.
Now, when did you decide to get active in terms of in the culture commentator space and get on YouTube and all the rest? What inspired that?
That would be COVID, the lockdowns. Well, what happened was I found Gary from Nerdrotic's channel. Shout out to Gary from Nerdrotic. After Game of Thrones season 8 debacle disaster. And I was like crying because I wasted like 8 years of my life watching that show.
Yeah, that should be a death penalty price. There should be execution for the people who destroyed the Game of Thrones in that final horrendous season.
100%. And that would be Dan and Dave, where are they now? Where are they? Oh, we're going to do like Star Wars and we're going to do this. Nobody knows where they are because they sucked and no one's going to freaking hire them ever again. Thank God. But yeah, so I saw that and I was like, I'm crying. My husband was like, you should go check out this live stream that this guy's doing about the episode. Everybody's pissed. And I was like, oh, a live stream? Like, what's that? Like, I didn't know what a live stream was. So I went and I saw, and I was like, people are paying money to talk to people on the internet, on YouTube, and talk about this stuff. It's so weird. And so I got obsessed. With it. And then really shortly, so I started like follow all the channels, that Star Wars girl, you guys, Viva, Barnes, everybody. Like I started following Nick, Ricada, all of these channels. And then after a little while, COVID hit. And I was like, oh, like what the hell? Like, and all these girls people in the YouTube sphere got really familiar with me in the chats. So they were like, you need to make a channel and come and talk to us. So I did, but I wasn't really doing anything until quarantine. And, I started to be like, okay, maybe I should really actively start doing streams and stuff like that. And I got into it. And then here we are.
I think we're going to head over to Rumble in a second. I'm just going to give everybody the link, and they're going to head over to Rumble. The question is this, though, because we did skip over a big thing there. Now that I know how old you are, you're 37 or 36.
38. Just turned 38.
Can't do Viva no math good, but So did you, let me ask the crass or the indiscreet question. Did you have a job before that you left? Like, we skipped a big period of time. You went to Canada.
Mhm,
95, you get to Canada, you go to British Columbia.
mhm.
When do you start seeing the writing on the wall in Canada? When do you leave? Under what circumstances? And what were you doing in life, professionally or for work, until, before you started doing this?
I did a lot of stuff in Canada. I started well, I was in customer service for like 20 years. I worked for Future Shop when they went under. I was I was a salesperson in Future Shop. Got laid off. I was very like devastated. Had so much debt. I was like just not in a good place. Then I went to Nintendo of Canada. I worked there for a while. I was their rep. It was good times. And then you start to see things, and during the same time, as I started working for Nintendo, right before I started working for Nintendo, right after I got laid off, I I was like, well, like, where am I going with my life? Because it seems like retail is really coming to an end. Like retail is starting to just kind of go out the door with the online shopping and everything like that. So what do I want? Oh yeah, and Blockbuster too. I worked at Blockbuster. That was good times. But I saw this thing because my husband was like, I don't like Canada because I always feel like no one's hearing me and like all this stuff. And so we talked about it, and we were like, let's do something, like go and get our certificates to teach English, because we were both really good at that. And so we went and did that, and he decided to go get a job abroad. And the company that we signed up for actually wanted to send him to China. And I was like, no, I'm not going to China. There's like no way in hell. I got out of freaking Iran because of their women's rights, and I'm never going back to that country. So why would I go to China? They're crazy and they're communists. I'm not going there. And he was like, well, where should we go? And I was like, why don't we try Mexico? Mexico sounds like a lot of fun. Let's go down there. We went down to Cancun for a vacation, just check it out. And we fell in love, and then we decided to just move here. Now, one of the things that happened was, because he moved earlier than I did.
Is he from Iran as well?
Yes.
Okay.
But he's Canadian. We met in Canada.
Okay.
And when I went to one of the months, I went to Cancun, and I came back. And one night I saw this thing happen where there was no gas, Viva. All of the shelves were empty. I returned to a place that was like, it was like the end of the world. And this was pre-COVID, because the Kohala Highway had closed down. There was like some sort of snowstorm or something. And all the trucks, fuel, food, everything had stopped. And so there was like one gas station that had gas. It was the craziest thing. And I was like, is this like a sign? Like, what is happening in this country? Like, what is going on? I think I might have to really consider moving faster, because at the time I had a really good job at Nintendo. I didn't want to move, and I loved Canada. I was like, I love Canada. I don't want to move. And then I started to see other things. Like when I would go downtown and I would see all these like blue-haired people, and they were like really weird. And I was like, what is going on with this? And then I started to like really look into kind of like the whole gender identity thing. And then I realized, I found Jordan Peterson and what he was talking about. And I was like, what is going on with Canada and this whole hate speech thing? And people are starting to police your speech now. That's all sounds really familiar. I remember this. I was from this country where my speech was policed. This is all not leading down a good way. And my husband was seeing the same things. And that's why we were like, where should we go? Like anywhere but here. We got to get out. And we did.
Robert, before you get your question in, and now we're going to go to Rumble people. I could not figure out how to live stream simultaneously on Locals, so this will be on YouTube tomorrow in its entirety, and I'll upload it directly to Locals, vivabarneslaw.locals.com with the milk. Removing from YouTube, carrying on exclusively on Rumble in